All right, so I did it. I went and played at my local card shop, and for the first time, played in person, and it went pretty well. I had a lot of fun. The people are always super kind, so no complaints there. So I wanted to share the deck list with you and tell you a little bit about how my run went. It went really good. I went 4-0 and got first place. And it was really good time. Got a bunch of prize packs and stuff. And I mean, other than playing in pre-releases, this is the first time I've ever played in person. So it was really validating to see that, hey, like I can do this, right? Like I understand my lines and understand how to beat so and so. So I can beat this team or that team. So I wanted to just like go through my deck list with you and share that. If you look right here, I got a little picture of it. Um, I made some changes from the last time I played on TCG Live, and I'll talk about those. First, obviously, it's Raging Bolt Ogerpon, and so in some testing and doing like solitaire hands, I found that I kept not getting to Ogerpons and Raging Bolts like I wanted to, and then if one or two gets prized, well then you're up a creek. So I kind of took out the chance that that could happen, and um, to protect myself from things like a surprising too many or not finding them. And sure enough, every hand, because I had every game I played except one, because I had 4 and 4, I drew Ogre Pawn and Raging Bolt in the first hand, opening hand, and it made it just so much easier to make sure that I could like do what I needed to do. So yeah, 4 of each of those, one Greninja, one Flutter Mane. Flutter Mane was really there to just have one prize off. It's also nice to, if you have to run into an Iron Thorns, there weren't any that I ran into, but he actually did help a lot in one of the games, shutting off an ability. So, not super on purpose, but it helped. It made it harder for my opponent. They had to switch out in order to use their Lugia V-Star, so that was good. Pheasantipity was really good. Big fan of Fez. Squawkability, they were surprised. The guy that I played in the last game, he was surprised that I ran 2 squawks. And ever since I saw Sanusuke, if I pronounce that correctly, run that at Worlds, I said, hey, I really like the consistency that that brings. So Squawkability EX was a good pick to have two. Even if you prize one, you end up being able to find one. There's only one game I didn't start a squawk, didn't get one in the first turn and get a squawk, so that was good. I like having two. Earthen Vessel is one thing that I did drop to 3 because I don't think I need 4. Because I end up really only using 2. In all honesty, like end up only using 2 Earthen Vessels before I don't really need the third one. I've run through my deck and I've got all the energy I need, right? You're drawing enough off of Sada and off of your Pokestop that you're getting stuff in the discard. It's just not a huge deal. And then energy retrieval is great for pulling energy out of the discard. Now, because I do not play a superior energy retrieval, I dedicate the energy retrieval specifically to grass energy. I try not to use it if I don't have to on my fighting or electric energy. I try to strictly use Sada for those. Um, so yeah, energy retrieval is a good card. Nest Ball 4, obviously, really good. I have 3 Great Ball, kind of going out of order, sorry. But I have 3 Great Ball because I need the consistency of being able to find Squawk on turn 1, and Great Ball is really vital for that. So that's why it's there. Night Stretcher, it's there in case I need to get a Pokemon out of the discard or an energy, even though that's not an efficient way to get energy because I do have energy retrieval. The Night Stretcher does give me that extra comfort knowing that if I have, you know, a Raging Bolt I need in the discard and I've got that in my hand, but I don't have a ball to use, it's good to like it's great. Night Stretcher is good. I didn't use it but once, and I used it for an energy in the tournament this weekend. Then there's Palpad. Got to get Sada's back in the discard. This is a card that I've considered having 2 because getting Sada out of the discard pile is so important sometimes, or getting that boss, being able to run a second boss, and that's what's there. This is a card that I would consider exchanging, a Pokegear for a second Palpad, having 3 Pokegear. But with that being said, having 4 Pokegear is so helpful for consistency because having Sada every turn is so important. So being able to draw and find it is really big. So I like the 4 Poke Gear. I like the 4 Pokemon Catcher. Um, I like the Prime Catcher. Can't beat Prime Catcher. It's just aggressive and super helpful to be able to, have essentially a boss as an item card. Same with Super Rod. I run one Super Rod instead of a Superior Energy Retrieval because sometimes I want to get Pokemon back, and I'm okay with stuff being in the discard. I mean, being in the deck instead of in my hand. So what I don't like is being forced to energy retrieval and needing to discard cards. So I like Super Rod because it does put it back. You know, would it be better in my hand? Yes, but sometimes I need Pokemon, so that's why I run the Super Rod instead of a third energy retrieval. Is like sometimes I need to grab my Fez because they sniped it and I need it back on the bench. So that's kind of the thinking there. The 2 switch cards are helpful to switch things around, even though I don't really have problems with that in this deck. Getting wrong things in the active. The same with, Boss is Boss, Iono is Iono. Don't love Iono, but it's good to have in a pinch. Excuse me. Or talk about Ultra Ball. I ran 3 Pokestops instead of like I was running some Lost Cities. I just decided the chances of me running into Ancient Box are probably low, and Ogerpon does good enough against Ancient Box. I shouldn't have too big of an issue. And I did drop the Bravery Charms. I wanted more consistency with my Pokegear and with my Ultra Balls. So I brought an extra Ultra Ball in, I brought an extra Pokegear in, and I dropped the Bravery Charms. I just don't trust them to really mean that much. And I went 4-0, so I think it worked tonight. Like at one point I was playing another Raging Bolt player and he had a Bravery Charm that would have made it hard for me to knock him out. But I just bossed. I just Pokemon catchered and problem solved. So I felt good about it. So the actual run itself, I played in my first round. I played against a like a Blissey Monkey Dory deck, which is a fun deck. Like I have it built on TCG Live, and I like to play it sometimes. But it was a fast game because he turned 1 whiffed and didn't have a second Pokemon to put on the bench, and turn 2 I had the setup and knocked him out, and he had no more Pokemon. So that was the game. It was really fast, and it was fine. He was nice, so we chatted afterward. The second game, I played a Terra Charizard deck, um, and knocked out the first one with with my Raging Bolt. He came back, returned, KO'd me with his because he gets the 2 prize cards, and so he's doing 240, or yeah, he's doing 240, so he knocks me out. Then I pushed up an Ogerpon. I had 2 Ogerpons on the bench and pushed up the Ogerpon, attached for turn to Ogerpon, and Teal danced. And then I had, so that's 5 energy times 30, and I was 150 plus the 30, 180 times 2 for the resistance, for the weakness on Charizard. So I absolutely, smacked Charizard with that, and that kind of caught him off guard. And that was super great for me because I didn't have to discard energy in order to do it. And so whatever he did next, I had a Raging Bolt on the bench. He was done. I think I brought up an Arceus to make it an easier knockout because he returned KO'd my Ogerpon with the Radiant Charizard. And so then I simply pushed up my Raging Bolt, and I think I had my counter catcher, and I had a couple of Pokemon catchers, so I just rolled the Pokemon catchers and hit heads instead of having to use a counter catcher, and it KO'd him. So that game was really good. It gave me a lot of confidence against Charizard. Charizard's been one that I've had matchups against that I felt bad against, but when I recognized, oh wait, this Ogerpon can really do damage, like to push the Ogerpon up when he KOs your Raging Bolt, and then you don't have to discard energy for the attack, even though it ended up in the discard anyway because he knocked me out. But yeah, so that went really good. And then the third match, I played a Lugia deck. Lugia with the V Star and the Archons or whatever. They're not Archons, they're Archeops. Um, this one was a rough start. This is the one match I didn't find a squawk because I didn't have any balls in hand, and I didn't draw into it with my Ogerpon because I think I started like a Squawk and an Ogerpon, and that was it. That game I got started slow. Or no, I didn't have a Squawk, so I had an Ogerpon in the active, and literally I went second. First turn, I teal danced to Ogerpon, drew a card, and I was dead. I was like, I'm done. I can't do anything here. But he was not able to KO me. Like he didn't get set up fast enough, and ended up loading up his bench to where he had two Lugia and a Minccino and uh, Squawk ability. He had it to where he had five, so he couldn't V Star because he would waste his V Star and not get the other Archeops out of the deck. And so that kind of saved me. Him making that mistake at the beginning gave me a chance to set up, and so I got the first KO on his Lugia V Star on one of his V Stars, and then the next turn he brought his V Star up, and it only does 220, so it can't one shot Raging Bolt. And so the next turn I killed his Lugia V Star again, and then he had a couple, and then I think I stalled out because I didn't have the Sada I needed. I think I had two prized or something, and he was able to uh, put up his Ursaluna and one shot my Raging Bolt, and had a Minccino, and I stalled turn. He could use the Minccino, and the Minccino had Legacy Energy, so I did have to counter catch her up. Uh, I ended up counter catching up his Squat because I got really lucky. So I hit my Pokestop, and off that Pokestop, I got Earthen Vessel, um, Palpad, and Pokegear, and there were like 13 cards left in my deck. So I was able to Earthen Vessel and get some energy out in the deck, and then I Palpatted some Sadas back into the deck, and then Pokegeared and found a Sada, and won. So I was able to come back from something that looked really bad because he misplayed a little bit at the start. He could have taken a chance and left only one. But if you don't, I mean, if you don't play down two Lugia there, and I do get the next turn two knockout, you're done, right? You are kind of cooked at that point because all he saw was an Ogerpon, and he had been playing next to me, so he knew I was playing Ogerbolt. So turn one, he benched all his stuff, and it ended up cooking him. But yeah, he was a good player, but I think in a best of three, he probably beats me, like one of those at least, and probably gives me a hard time in the last one because Lugia's a tough matchup for Raging Bolt. And then my last game was a mirror match against another Raging Bolt, and that was a lot of fun. We laughed, we had a really good time, like commentated each other's moves. We knew what we were doing, and it's just like a local, so it was a good time. Like it was pretty laid back, and that game I won because he got the first knockout. Because when you play Ogerbolt versus Ogerbolt, it's just who gets to go second, and he got to go second, and he had terrible hand, and whiffed his turn one attack. I whiffed my turn two attack, and then came back to him, and I had pushed Greninja up into my active. And so the prize trade got messed up because he missed his flip for his Pokemon catcher and didn't find his counter catcher and had already sodded, so he couldn't use boss. And so he had to knock out Greninja or let it sit there. Better choice is knock it out and take a prize card. So he knocked it out, and then I just took three in a row, and he couldn't catch me at that point. He was a great sport, and we had a lot of fun. And overall, my first experience playing TCG live was really good. And if you're out there and you're like, I don't know, like I'm nervous about playing in person, I don't want to mess up, I don't want to get mad at me, I don't call judge and things like that. And it's like, dude, start out with a local. Like obviously don't start with a regional, but like do it. It was a lot of fun, and the people were really great, and I learned a lot. But it also gave me confidence to go, hey, I can do this. Like it's not just me being decent at playing it online. Like I actually understand how the game works, and I can make decisions to put myself in a good position to win. And I affirmed that with the Lugia match and with the other Ogerbolt, with the Ogerbolt Ditto, because I was just able to see some lines to win and give myself the best shot. So, well, I appreciate y'all following me on this journey. Dude, I'm a little high on life right now. It's exciting to get to do something for the first time and be successful at it, right? going 4-0. It was funny. I actually started out at table 1, and I never moved all night. Like I kept, because I could have ended up like it's funny because I could have ended up at table 2, but I just stayed at table 1 all night and kept being there. And so it was funny. The judge would walk past and be like, "Oh, you're here again. Oh, you're here again." Yeah, I was there. Um, it was really fun. Hey, if you want to get in to the Pokemon TCG, I suggest downloading Pokemon TCG Live on your phone or getting on your computer and enjoying playing that. And watch some good YouTubers other than me. um, but yeah, that was it. That's my team report um, for my Woodlands local that I went to. So appreciate y'all watching. Have a good one. And if you have questions or comments or ideas for the deck, let me know. As always, have a good night.